Hey you, yes, I'm talking to you. Want to optimize your health, prevent injuries, and be able to live healthier longer? You don't need to train like an Olympian. You just need to do these 3 exercises I'm about to list right now. So make sure you can balance and incorporate these 3 exercises in your weekly exercise routine. Number 1 is endurance training. Number 2 is strength training. And number 3 is mobility training. Countless longevity experts actually talk about the benefits of all 3 of these and balancing these 3 out in your workout routines. And I've actually looked at research as well, and that backs it up too. So the very first training I want to talk about is literally endurance training. So let's just go off over the research first. So Myers and others in 2002 found that low estimated VO2 max increases your mortality by a 4.5-fold compared to high estimated VO2 max. They concluded, exercise capacity is more powerful predictor of mortality among individuals than any other risk factor for cardiovascular disease. So literally, if your VO2 max is higher, you have a 4.5-fold lower chance of dying from cardiovascular diseases. So the very first, endurance training, right? So what this means is training for your heart and also your lungs. This includes your cardio, which includes stuff like running, swimming, cycling, or even cycling on a stationary bike. It increases your circulation, it increases your oxygen uptake and efficiency of oxygen metabolism, and it just improves your health overall. So how you should divide your endurance training is into 2 parts. So the first part is at least do 3 times a week, 30 minutes of zone 2 exercise. So what that means is where you go up to a capacity of being able to exercise while still holding a conversation. So let's say you're just running on the treadmill at 4 miles per hour. It depends on how well your body is already in terms of running long distances. But as long as you can talk, have a conversation, but still puts a lot of work in, that's zone 2 training. So then from there, once you've done 3 sets of that through the week, 3 times a week, 30 minutes, then you can go into high intensity training as well and do that about once or twice a week where you can do high intensity sets. So what I mean by that is you can sprint for a few minutes and then about your 90% of your VO2 max and then get back down to just walking. So do about 5 to 10 sets of that, and that's enough for your HIIT exercise as well. So that's how you can incorporate your endurance training. So endurance training doesn't have to be running. You can include cycling, you can include swimming, stationary bike, dancing if you're consistently dancing at the same pace. And yeah, things like that. You can incorporate any of those things. So research literally says this, that they suggest that very short periods of high intensity endurance type exercise may be needed to reach a threshold for peripheral metabolic adaptations. So the very high intensity leads to peripheral metabolic adaptations that zone 2 training will not lead to. But that longer training durations at lower intensities are required to see larger changes in maximal cardiac output and VO2 max. Your longer zone 2 training is what's needed to develop that increased oxygen carry capacity of your body and also efficiency at which it can use oxygen in your tissues so that even when you're in oxygen deprived states, you can still utilize oxygen. So let's think about it. Let's say in the future, God forbid, but you end up having a stroke, right? And the stroke was not treated for a long period of time. And it led to a lot of damage in your brain. So if your oxygen carrying capacity and oxygen metabolism efficiency is more, you'll actually be able to cause less damage for that period of time that your brain did not receive oxygen. Whereas if your VO2 max is low, it will lead to more damage and less chance of survival for yourself with your brain. So those are a couple things that you can look at in terms of how this is going to benefit you in the future. And the very important part about the HIIT exercises is with the zone 2 training, you can build a very good foundation. But if you want that foundation's limits tested over and over again and the foundation's limits like increasing, that's the only way you can actually shock your body and increase the limits of your body. So sprinting, for instance, if you're trying to do a 100-meter race, like it's very important that you do your sprints because the more you do them, the faster you get and the more your body adapts to that speed, and then you can get faster and faster every time. So all right, enough with endurance training. If you have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments below and I'll answer them as well, and I will put the studies down as well in the description below, but if you still need specifics, I can send them as well. So now we're going to be talking about number 2 type of training, which is strength training. So Strength training is essential for your muscle development, your bone density, and also your metabolism. So this type of training actually helps you maintain your functional strength throughout your life. And it includes things like lifting, so lifting weights, doing your squats, doing your deadlifts, doing your bicep curls, and all of that good stuff. Resistance band training, so doing those isometric exercises with resistance band, or even body weight training. But it's recommended that you still do progressive overload. So as you're training, every week try to beat your previous records in terms of, let's say if you're lifting 40-pound dumbbell press, try to go to 42.5 pounds the week after. So you still need to at least increase the reps or increase the weight, because this will lead to more benefit, so muscle growth, and it will slow down muscle loss in the future as you age as well. So for this, divide your week into 3 sessions, so at least 40 minutes long. So the very first one, how I divide it is just I do back and I do legs, and then I take a rest day, and the second time I do it is chest and legs, and then I do arms and legs. So arms also includes my shoulder day, so that's how I kind of divide it up, just so I don't have to go to the gym too often. And it's enough to hit every body part once a week. All right, so enough with strength training, because everyone's already very familiar with that. And the third thing that you have to do in terms of longevity and increasing your health span, so the years of your life that are disease-free, is mobility training. So this is what actually causes your pain-free movement and prevents those stiff shoulders, prevents that knee pain, prevents that ankle restraints that you have from rolling your ankle from basketball or just injuring it from some other sport. So this includes things like stretching, yoga, and mobility drills as well. So mobility type of exercises, like working on your calf one by one, doing your 90-90s for your hips and all that stuff. So this is all in your mobility training. So it's recommended that you do shorter sessions, but more often a week. So at least try to incorporate mobility training about 4 times a week, 10 to 15 minutes. What I usually do with mobility training is I don't do it at the gym. I just do it post gym, so before going to bed, because it's kind of involved in my nighttime routine, where I'll do my stretches, where I'll do a little bit of mobility training as well before bed, because this kind of just relaxes my mind. So make sure you don't, when you're doing mobility training, and if you're doing it later in the night, don't get your heart rate too high, because you're already doing that with endurance training and also resistance training. Mobility training, kind of just do the basics and try to relax with it too. So these are the 3 ways you can actually increase your health span, so the years of your life that are disease-free. And if you like that video, please like it, and also subscribe to my channel, and also share it with other friends and family that are looking for tips on longevity and increasing their health span. Thank you so much for your time, and let's continue to grow together.